Thank you for listening to this Belly Up Sports Podcast Network product. Some said we go belly up, so we made it our name, and we're still here.
From roommates to co-hosts, this is The Back Check with Brendan Azoff and Stefen Rosner, your go-to destination for New York hockey and NHL news. And now it's time to drop the puck. Here are your hosts, Brendan Azoff and Stefen Rosner.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Rivalry night kind of preview, if you will. Brendan and Stefen here. We got a big clash coming on in the Coliseum tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Stefen's going to have a little bit of a front row seat, taking his father to the game, which is always awesome. But after a 4-1 Rangers win on Friday, they meet again. And you know, with these two teams, the games are always going to be close, especially when they're playing this, close together, 2-2 season series. So whoever wins tonight gets the edge, and it's going to be a good tilt in at Nassau Coliseum tonight.
It better be, or my wallet's gonna hate me because I dropped money on this game. But no, my dad's birthday is tomorrow, and I just surprised him. I'll post a video after we get off of this. He was very shocked that we're going. But at the same time, we look at what the Islanders did last game, and that's not Islanders hockey. The same way they won against the Flyers in a shootout the day before that was not Islanders hockey. They were fortunate to get a win. But you look at this Rangers team, and I think, Brendan, you're finally seeing what happens when this Rangers offense comes alive. They are very hard to defend. And you look at the Islanders defense, one of the best defensive units in the league, and they were unable to get the job done. And now, again, it wasn't the Islanders we're used to seeing. The same way it wasn't the Islanders team we saw when the Rangers blew them out in Sorokin's first start ever in the NHL, the second game of the season. And that's the biggest question. Who's starting goal for the Islanders? We know it's Shesterkin. You got to think it's Sorokin tonight, and it's going to be a beautiful goaltending matchup.
Oh, it's the perfect time to get the first edition of the Russian rivalry going, right? I mean, Shesterkin was announced as a starter. They went to him after Georgiev got the win last night. We know Georgiev's numbers against the Islanders are spectacular. Shesterkin's are not. He's only started against the Islanders twice. He's 0-2 with the 303 goals against and a 905 save percentage in his two starts. So not the guy that not the numbers you expect from the guy who's going to be your number one, but you have to go to him after this type of season that he's had where it's been ups and downs, ebbs and flows for him. They haven't committed to him, and now he's going to get the start tonight in a huge game against the Islanders, one that the Rangers need a lot more than the Islanders do, but you know very well that the Islanders are going to play like they're the team that's in the Rangers spot and need the 2 points.
I sure hope so, again, for my sake and my wallet's sake. But you look at the game on Friday. Varlamov came into that game against the Rangers this year 2-0 and hadn't allowed a goal. Now, it's very hard to shut out a team 3 times in a season, and I'm not saying it was his fault. One goal he wants back. Besides that, he made some spectacular saves. He just couldn't do enough to keep the Islanders in it. You look at Sorokin. We know what happened in his first NHL start. It wasn't pretty. He had an 8-0 run during this season, and then he gets pulled in a start against the Penguins back on, I think it was March 27th. And okay, that's pretty much his first adversity. After that, the first 3 games of the season, which I won't count because it's him getting used to the NHL style, but he dominated for 8 games, gets pulled, and what does he do when he bounces back and gets put back in the lineup? 2-0. He's 2-0 with a 932 save percentage and a 2.00 goals against average since then. So tonight against the Rangers, we've sort of come full circle. I wrote an article a couple of days ago about his mental toughness because, again, when everything's going great and then you have a bad start, as a young netminder, you want to see him bounce back right away, and it's hard. It's hard for a young player to do, but he did that. But against the Rangers tonight, against a team that pretty much embarrassed him across the National Hockey League in his first start. Again, not really his fault. Wasn't ready for it. He didn't look great. The Islanders definitely didn't look great. But now's his chance to go, you know what, let me prove something that I could play against any team in the NHL. If it's a rivalry game, I'm not going to fold under pressure. I'm going to have a lights-out performance tonight.
Yeah, I mean, this is the perfect time. Like we said, it would be a spotlight on the goaltending matchup if it were to be Ilya Sorokin in goal against Igor Shesterkin. Just an absolutely dream of a scenario for all Rangers and Islanders fans, because this is exactly what we were talking about when Sorokin officially signed. We said, when are we going to get this matchup? All we had talked about for 5 years prior was how good Ilya Sorokin was, and is Shesterkin better, and vice versa. And depending on what team you root for, you thought your guy was the better one, and we're going to get the first chance tonight, hopefully, if everything pans out. But the Islanders are 17-2-2 now at home, right? That's a phenomenal record. The Rangers, given the second regulation loss at home last night, Friday night, But when you look at the Rangers, how they've played at the Coliseum as of late, they're 8-1 at the Coliseum in their last 9 games. And dating back to February 15th, according to New York Rangers stats and info, the Rangers have won their last 5 games at the Coliseum. So it might be an away game, but it really is like a home away from home for the New York Rangers.
Yeah, hopefully they don't add another loss to that. Again, we already know why. But the Rangers have dominated at the Coliseum, and the biggest thing is, like you said, it's a home away from home. Ranger fans do get across. They get in there, and sometimes in the past they've, dominated that arena. But hopefully that's not the case tonight. I'll be screaming, my dad will be screaming. Hopefully that place is packed and loud. But, we're hoping for a good game. Yeah. Yes, I would love to see the Islanders demolish the Rangers or just win. I'll take a win, same way you want to see the Rangers. But at the same time, you want to last game was a 4-1 loss for the Islanders, but it wasn't that blown out. The Islanders didn't play well, but it wasn't like an 8-0 loss. It was a pretty solid game. It was a tough game to watch from my perspective, but it was fun. That's what you want to see. But for the Islanders, bigger news this morning, Russ Johnson was added to IR, which now allows a roster spot for Wallstrom. So the question is, does Wallstrom come into the lineup? And for me, if you're choosing between Wallstrom or Komarov, it should be an easy decision. It hasn't been.
Shouldn't be a decision.
It shouldn't be a decision, but the fact that Komarov stayed in while Wallstrom hasn't, there's a chance Komarov stays in. But for me, we saw Palmieri play alongside Barzal a little bit last game towards the end. And I think if you want to keep the lines the best possible, you do Palmieri, Barzal, Eberle. Keep everything like that, but you put Wallstrom on the wing on the third line with Pazzo and Zajac. I think that gives you the best lineup to succeed tonight. Wallstrom's a 20-year-old stud. And I know we wanted to wait to see when roster expanded, but Ross Johnson being hurt, which hope he's good. We don't ever want to see injuries. Now gives him the opportunity to go back in tonight. And for him to play tonight would be huge because you want to see how he plays with Zajac and Pazzo. If that's going to be the case going forward, you want to get that chemistry going. And I feel like, again, Pazzo is one of the best players to play alongside when you're trying to get acclimated into a system. And Zajac and Palmieri haven't looked great, but at the same time, the Islanders haven't looked great. So it's hard to judge them, and you cannot. For the fans judging them now, you cannot judge them based on the 2 games they've played. But tonight, that's the lineup I would go with. I would go with Sorokin and net and see what happens. But right now, it's about getting these new guys comfortable. And if you're going to play Wallstrom in the playoffs alongside a Zajac, whoever you're going to be, you got to get that acclimated real soon.
Yes, you do. And from the Islanders kid and Wallstrom to the Rangers kid line, Lafreniere scored the first goal of the game against the Islanders on Friday. Edel and Kakko both contributed with assists as well. It was just an all-around good performance for them. They look to continue that tonight. But obviously, the man who is the Rangers offense, and it is really just him. As he goes, they go, is Artemi Panarin. And he was extraordinarily noticeable Friday night with the puck, making some incredible backhand passes all over the score sheet. He just does what Artemi Panarin does on a nightly basis. And he has 42 points or whatever it is in 27 games. His point per game pace is ridiculous. And against the Islanders in his career, he's got 10 goals and 17 assists for 27 points in 19 games. So when he sees the blue and orange, his eyes light up, and he's been a menace against them, especially since he's joined the Rangers. So look for him to have another big game tonight and impact the score sheet in multiple ways.
Yeah, look at the Islanders. It's more. I'm not gonna say it's more of a team effort. You talk about Panarin's dominance, but the Islanders, for them to win hockey games, they got to run all 4 lines. It can't be. Barzal could put on a show, fantastic, but if you can't keep the puck out of your net, it doesn't matter. So I'm really gonna watch Sorokin tonight. But if it's Varlamov in goal, that's who I'm gonna watch because they're gonna be keys to winning. It's not gonna be easy wins against this Ranger team. They're in desperation mode. Maybe they'll make the playoffs, maybe they don't. It's unlikely, but it doesn't matter. They're still going to have to do what they have to do to find a way to get as close to that 4th spot as possible. But I look at the Islanders and, without Anders Lee, the net front presence hasn't been the same. Yes, Matt Martin's been there on the power play. Komarov's been trying, but failed. He's not scoring those goals. He's getting his body in front, but he's not scoring the goals that Lee would. But now you have Palmieri. And I spoke about it earlier on our trade deadline show we had earlier in the day, is the fact that he went right to the dirty area. That's what he's got to do. For Georgiev, it was so easy for him in goal because nobody crashed the net. Once they crashed the net, guess what? They scored a goal, but it was a little too late, and the Islanders didn't do it enough. Tonight against Shesterkin, who's obviously a little better than Georgiev, you still got to get bodies in front. When you can take away a goalie's eyesight, everything changes. Rebound control changes, ability to track the puck. You might get opportunities that weren't there if you keep somebody in front. And I think for the Islanders, you got to crash the net hard and you got to get shots on goal. They only had 7 shots on goal in the first period last game. They were outshot 13-7 to start the game. If I'm the Islanders tonight, you get a shot, take it. Yep. It doesn't matter if it goes in or not. Get Shesterkin moving. The more you do that, the tired he will get throughout the game. But if you take your foot off the gas and allow him to relax and get comfortable, he's going to dominate. That's what he's done. And yes, he's given up questionable goals pretty much. Not in every start, but there's goals that he definitely wants back, I think, in most of his starts. So that's a habit. He has a habit of not being completely airtight, and if you could find a way to crack him early in the game, that definitely bodes well. But getting shots on goal, winning faceoffs, doing those little things the Islanders do, getting the pucks deep, making him play the puck. So if they didn't make Georgiev do, and they lost the game. So tonight,
you don't want Shesterkin playing the puck.
Exactly. You do not want him playing the puck. So
he's very, very good playing the puck. Like he's like a third defenseman back there, and we've seen it numerous times. He's going to score a goal in his career. That's how good he is playing the puck. So you do not want to make him play that puck. You want to put it into the corners outside of that trapezoid if you're the Islanders.
Yeah, I mean, but the biggest thing though is you need to get shots on goal. I mean, we all know the Wayne Gretzky quote or the Michael Scott quote, whatever you want to say, quoted the quote, whatever. You gotta find a way to get shots, and the Islanders missed in that a lot. They hit the post and the bar a couple of times last game, so we'll say that's unlucky. But when you have an opportunity in a lane, the Rangers have scorers that are going to find a way to get the job done. The Islanders have lacked that, and hopefully with Palmieri here, if Wallstrom's back in the lineup, it doesn't have to go in. You just have to get on net, because if it's a high danger shot on goal, the likelihood of a rebound going right out front to the slot is a very high chance. So the Islanders have to crash net. That's the key for them winning, and also coming through on the power play. The Rangers are going to take their penalties, the same way Islanders will. Islanders' penalty kill has been good, but the Islanders have to find a way to not be fancy on the power play. And I don't really care what they do, who they put out there, but Bailey's been a problem out there. I'm not going to lie, he's too hesitant. Barzal's been too, fancy. Pass, get the shot on goal, crash for the rebound, get a body in front. If you keep it simple, we've seen the Islanders keep it simple on the power play, and they find a way to score a goal. When they try to do fancy stuff, it's more of a penalty kill masterpiece for the Rangers, and they build off that confidence. The Islanders have failed back-to-back games to gain any momentum off. They had a 5-minute power play, game misconduct, because Sam Marin destroyed Casey Zizekas. And they didn't do anything, and the Flyers came back. They had more opportunities shorthanded and scored goals, got back in that game, got themselves a point. So for the Islanders tonight, you get the power play, keep it simple.
Yeah, and for the Rangers, consistency has been key. It hasn't been there throughout the season, and consistent games back and forth. And when they have a performance like they did on Friday night where they made a statement win, usually they follow it up with a lackluster performance. Over the last 6 games, they are 4-1-1. So they have started to come through when it matters most, and we'll see if they can continue that hot stretch. But all will be decided tonight, and our fingers are crossed for a Sorokin and Shesterkin matchup in goal.
If it's not, that shows more confidence in Varlamov that, hey, we know how it went down on Friday. I mean, I'm not against either goaltender starts. The Islanders should find a way to get this win. They have to. And again, it doesn't matter standing-wise, but they have to find a way to get the job done, because they really haven't. They've looked mediocre, and we talked about it over and over again. If you're going to go into the playoffs, which the Islanders plan to do, you cannot go in slow. And beating a division rival, a crosstown rival tonight, it just gives you confidence going forward. If you lose again tonight and you have a lackluster performance, the biggest thing for the Islanders is they've started slow. They look sluggish. Their passes aren't crisp at all. They don't win the face as they need to. I mean, you watched the game Friday night. I don't know what they were doing. Some of these passes were icings. And is it pressure? Is it fatigue? I mean, they played back-to-back games.
When the Rangers play well, they force you to – they play like the Islanders. When the Rangers play well, they hound you. They're fast. They're very good. They're crisp on the back end. And when they play bad, which they could tonight, very well could tonight, the Islanders will have that success making those passes, getting to the dirty areas. But when they play well, this is a very good team. They've beaten every single team ahead of them in the East. They have the ability to beat any team on any given night. The problem is their consistency with their young forwards and young defensive group. So if the Islanders come out of the gate and can start making those passes, you're going to put the Rangers on their heels. That's really all it comes down to.
And the problem is the Islanders have just not started strong enough. And there's the excuse last game was fatigue. For both teams, I mean, it was a feeling out process to start the game. But fatigue can no longer be an excuse, because both teams have had the days off. They had their morning skates today, and we'll see what happens tonight after the 7 o'clock puck drop, because if the Islanders come off slow, it's going to be a very long night.
So Rangers, Islanders, Nassau Coliseum. Stefen, you'll be in attendance. We expect a couple of good pictures from the arena. We look forward to what this game's going to have in store, because I can guarantee you it's going to be a wild one.
Do you want to play the ending, Brendan?
The Back Check is your one-stop shop for NHL news and all things Rangers and Islanders. Thanks for sticking with us for this edition of The Back Check. Follow the show on social media at Back Check Pod.